there is such a degree of uncertainty that it's hard to have definitive moves in the market because you just don't know what tariff policy is going to be. You don't know to what degree the economy is going to continue to weaken as well. And I want to ask you about that. On the chance of a recession, the chair said, well, there's always a 1 in 4 chance. Quote, it's moved up, but it's not high. You've had the Treasury Secretary on this very network talk about a detox that is needed. You have had an administration that really has not gone out of its way to talk people off of the idea of a recession. I think in some cases you can make the argument that they have almost telegraphed that you could have one. And if you do, we'll be better in the long run anyway. Your thoughts on all that?
Well, the change in government spending, I hope, is going to be to less government spending. Certainly that is the purported idea of this DOGE situation. And lower government spending is going to lower the pace of economic growth. I mean, we've been living on, $2.2 trillion as the actual budget deficit for the last 12 months, $2.2 trillion. And if you're going to get that down to any sort of sensible number, it's going to knock a lot out of GDP. The one thing I think that is really bizarre is people that say that we're going to get growth up to like 3% real or something like this, or even 4%, 5% nominal. And at the same time, we're going to balance the budget deficit. Balancing the budget deficit is not going to help increase growth. That's what the detox is all about. You've got a problem. You know you have a problem. You've got to start solving the problem. And I've been in favor of this for a long time. I think cutting 100, it's kind of disheartening that cutting $100 lousy billion potentially out of the government budget is being met with hysteria, as if that's even a drop in the bucket. I mean, it's nothing. So we need to cut a lot more than that if we're going to get to a true detox. So I don't know if that can happen, because I think the cutting will weaken economic growth, which may lead to a counter response. It's one of the problems when you get yourself in one of these vicious circles that we've got ourselves in. But I do think the chance of recession is higher than most people believe. I actually think it's higher than 50% coming in the next few quarters.
Wow, higher than 50% for a recession.
Yeah, I think it's 50 to 60 is where I am. Yeah, and I don't think you're going to get a rally out of the long end of the Treasury bond market. I think that already happened. We had that Pavlovian response, and we had the 10-year down to 360, and now we're back up at about 4 1/4, and I'm not sure we're going to go below 4 again, in spite of the fact the economy may weaken.
How much of a risk is stagflation? I read one person's comment today within one news article saying that we already have a, quote, whiff of it, but it's with a small s, not a large s. Is it a real risk?
I think it is. It's certainly non-zero. I mean, the tariffs could very well be inflationary, and the inflation rate is going higher anyway because of the base effects of what's rolling off from last year. And so I think they just downgraded GDP, so we're getting closer to recession, and they just upgraded the inflation forecast, although just for this year. I do think it's kind of wishful thinking to think that somehow magically it's going to go back down to 2% in 2027. But I think that forecast is mostly hope that that's going to happen. We don't see. I mean, with the Fed saying they're going to cut interest rates and tariffs coming on, I have a hard time seeing how the inflation rate is going to settle in at 2%.